All right, next we're gonna work on this material spinner. So I'm gonna do new composition. I'm gonna do the same thing, 30 by 30, because let's just imagine that this spinner is a small asset. I'm gonna create this ellipse. I'm gonna center it. Now, when I clicked and drag here, I don't know where this center is. If you hit this little grid options things and do title action save, it can show you a little point here where the center is, this little plus. And so I don't know if this is actually in the center. So the way you do actually center it is you come in here to the group and you change this to 0, 0. And then you also have to change your transform. I know that this comp is 15 by 50, 30 by 30, so I'm going to change this to 15 by 15. Change this to spinner. I know that I'm not going to want this fill, so I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to add a stroke, and I'm going to make this stroke red. Whoa. And then I'm going to change it to, let's say, 2 pixel stroke, 3 pixel stroke. Let's get bold. All right. One thing I want you to know is that since our comp is 30 by 30, it's tiny, just like the heart was. And After Effects was made to work in pixels, so it doesn't have the same anti-aliasing as Illustrator, where you come in here and you can infinitely zoom in and everything stays crisp. So one trick that I've learned is if you want to work and see things crisp, if you add a solid in here and make that solid the same comp size, I'm going to turn it white so it's the same as the background. Move it down here to the bottom. If you parent everything, again, here I go turning on and off things. If you parent everything with this parent panel, pick whip this right on here. If you parent this so it's connected, come into composition settings, you just make this bigger and you scale this up, it's gonna get crisp and you'll be able to work with a nice crisp asset. Now the spinner is not the end of the world if it's not crisp, but you can imagine having a tiny little icon and you need to see each detail of the animation. It's really good to scale it up big, work while it's big, and then before you export, scale it back down. One thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to fit this solid exactly to the window. I could work with it like this, but I'll just show you how to do this. If you go to Layer, Transform, Fit to Comp, it's going to take whatever you've selected and fit it exactly to the size of that comp. So now that I have this nice crisp line, you might be wondering, how in the world is he going to get it to draw around that line? Because it's a whole circle. A shape layer has this awesome thing called a trim path. If you open up a shape layer, you come in here and you do add trim path, it gives you this 3 values, start, end, and offset. As you drag these numbers, it's actually revealing the edge of the path from 0 to 100. So as you can see, 0 and 100 are right here at the top. And when you do offset, it actually moves that center 0, 100 point around the line. I'm going to do 25, 75. As we saw in our example, the material loader has this rounded edge in there. That's where in stroke, that's where line cap comes in. You select this and then you hit round cap and it'll round those caps. I have my son, he's 5. He would laugh if he saw this said butt cap. First, I'm going to keyframe each of these trim paths values, start, end, and offset. I'm going to move over here and set them all one more time. So the thing about offset is if you drag this, you can see it rotating around. Once you get past 360, you can see right here, this turned into a 1. And if you keep dragging, it'll keep going 2, 3, 4. What that is each of these numbers is 360 times this number. So now it's gone around 3 times plus 337. I'm just going to do 1, 0 because I just wanted to do 1 full rotation. So now I'm going to go to the end of the comp. I'm going to press K. What K does is it snaps you to the next keyframe. J goes to the previous one, K go to the next one, and I'm going to use another key command. I'm going to use another key command N to bring my work area right in here nice and tight. I think that's what I want. This 3 pixel stroke's kind of thick, so I'm going to change this to 2. Now that that's a perfect loop, I want to have it so it expands out. And what I'm going to do here is come in here and set this to be a little bit back here. Maybe 15. So I'm going to do 15 and 16. And then what I wanted to do is expand out and then come back to the same 15 and 16. So when I come into the middle here and change this to 25, 75, what I get is something quite weird. That's not at all what I'm looking for. So I think that this is way too far. I actually think what I want to do is change these more like 50, 51, and have it expand out 25, 70, and then have it expand back into 50, 51. Let's see how that looks. That's what I want. So yeah, what I wanted to do is start in the middle here, expand out on both sides, and then collapse back into the middle. I kind of don't like it starting from the bottom, because remember that's reference that we have. It actually kind of changes color at the top. So I'm going to rotate this around 180. I'm going to change both offset keyframes to 180. And that's what I want. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the others. The heart, hit F9, see what easy ease looks like. It's a little bit too eased, so I think I'm going to take the easy ease off of the offset. And that's looking better already. This seems a little bit long to me, so I'm going to shorten it. So one thing that's interesting here is you can see this last keyframe is here, and this first keyframe is the exact same value. So what my eye just caught was when it played, this here is for 2 frames. I actually wanted to continue all the way through without kind of pausing up there at the top. So I'm going to go to this last keyframe. I'm going to move back 1 keyframe by holding Command and using the arrows, and then I'm going to press N to snap my keyframe marker. So I never get this same value twice. It's a subtle thing, but this is the kind of stuff that I notice. And I'm going to try one thing, which is to take these keyframes and make these linear so that it doesn't pause right inside of there. I don't want it to pause when it gets to the top. I really want it to just kind of ease into this and ease back and fly through the top. I'm going to do the graph editor again. I'll press F9 to easy ease. I'm going to zoom in and just move these a little bit and see what that looks like. Just like the heart, this is really where the fun is. And actually, I don't know, I kind of feel like it does need to ease out a little bit. This is really where the fun is. And just so you all know, I've done this tutorial maybe 4 or 5 times. Each time I do it, I make it a little bit different. And it's hard for me to come to a conclusion as to what the best spinner looks like. So I'm always kind of tweaking these values and messing around to try to see if I can get something that I like. All right, I think that's pretty good. I don't want to bore you all again with my incessant keyframe messing around. But what I am going to do is make it a little bit slower. So what you can do is select all these keyframes. On the very last keyframe, if you hold Alt and you drag, it will bring all the keyframes with it. So I'm going to drag this here. I'm going to go 1 keyframe back, hit N, and I'm going to roll with that. Save. There's one important thing I want to show you all with this spinner animation, and that really has to do with the way you build animations for Lottie. In this example, it's changing colors. So we can do this different ways. One way what we can do is we can create new comp, spinner red, spinner green, spinner, blue. And each of these, we can come in here. I'm going to trim this. I'm going to open this up, find the color, change it to blue. I'm going to come in this green. There's another trick. If you know what property you want to go to, you can select the layer, type in here in this little search bar, it'll come right up. I'm going to do that. Hit green. Make sure I trim this. And then I'm going to also trim the red. Red's the right color already. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all three of these and drag them right on top of this little icon down here. And as you can see, when you do that, it'll let you either put them into one single composition or create multiple compositions with each of them. We want single. I'm going to open up my composition settings. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit longer to 4 seconds. And now, one way I want to line these up. So one way to do that is you could zoom on in and get your time marker right here. Another way to do that is to hit 0, which goes to the end, the frame right before it ends. Hit 0 and then Command over. And then I'm going to drag the green one all the way until it's touching the red one. And then I'm going to hit O again to go to the end. And instead of dragging the blue one this time, go here, you can use the bracket, the left and right bracket. So the left bracket will move the beginning of the layer to where you are. The right bracket will move the end. So I'm at the left bracket. And I'm going to tighten up this work area by hitting O, going to the end here, hitting N, doing my work area smaller, and then I'm going to trim comp to work area. There we go. So that's one way. And actually I'm going to rename this multi-comps. There's another way you can do it, which is not multi-comps, but it's multi-layers. So this time, I'm just going to shorten this layer. Come in here. Again, another command is Option, bracket. That'll bring your layer end marker all the way here. I'm going to duplicate this. Boom. Change my comp size to 4 seconds. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'm going to turn this white solid off because it might get in my way since it's not extended. And I don't even actually need it. I'm only using it to scale stuff. So I can come in here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select all the layers, type color, bring up all my colors. And I'm going to do blue. And I'm going to do green. Even though it doesn't matter the order of these, I'm just going to check to see what the order of this one is. Red, green, blue. So I'm going to do red, green, blue in this one as well. Okay, so that's 2 ways to do the same thing. One of them has multiple comps. The other one has multiple layers. There's a third way. The third way is do it all in one layer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these keyframes. So I know that this 50 and 51 is the exact same as the beginning. And I wanted to just loop this again. So I'm going to select these keyframes, copy, paste. Now I'm going to change my composition to 4 seconds again. And now I'm going to paste them one more time. I'll extend these out, turn this off because I don't need it. Hit K. And now I think I forgot to do one last thing, which is to make this offset. So I copy and pasted these layers, but if I copy and paste this layer, it's going to go backwards. See how it goes backwards? So instead of copy and pasting that layer, I'm just going to come in here. And I know this is a 1. I want to do one more revolution. I'm going to hit 2. And then I'm going to do this last one here and hit 3. And do the same thing where I come in here and trim this. So the way you change color is, again, I'm going to do the same thing. Select this layer, hit color. You can change the color one of two ways. You can hit a keyframe. I'm going to press U to reveal all my keyframes. You can hit a keyframe. You can come in here and change this here to green. And then you can come in here, do another keyframe, change this keyframe to blue, right? The other thing you can do is use what we talked about before, which is a hold keyframe. I'm going to select these. I'm going to control click them and toggle hold keyframes. As you can see in here, this color thing, what that does is it makes a keyframe value stay the same until it gets to the next keyframe. And that can eliminate, if you do, it can eliminate some of the kind of transferring, the fading between the two keyframes. So yeah, I'm going to do a hold keyframe. I'm going to move this blue to here. I'm going to delete this green because I already have one over here. I'll move this to here. And the red one is fine where it is. There you go. So now we are ready to export for Lottie. Now, right before I do that, I need to do something important, which is I need to make these 1x size again. So really quickly, I'm going to go back and change each of these comps to 30. Delete this. I'm going to do this for all these. Probably should have done this before I duplicated all these. Green, 30, 30. And now multi-comps. Did I do the red? No. 30, 30. So now multi-comps needs to be 30, 30. Yeah, I definitely should have done this. I definitely should have done this before I duplicated all these comps, but that's okay. You guys can see me do some of the stuff I do every day. I mess around with keyframes until I'm blue in the face, and I make mistakes and go back and change everything because I realized that I messed it up. And see, one interesting thing here is I don't have, oh, there it is. Never mind. I do have my parented layer. All right, so let me just preview these multi-layers, make sure that this one is what we want. Multi-comps, make sure that this one is what we want. Oh, multi-layers is red, green, blue. I do tend to name my layers quite a bit because I just find that once you get to layer one, it's kind of like working in Photoshop or something, or Sketch. Once you get to like layer one, final, layer 3, you can't tell what is what. So I like to name my layers, and later on in one of the next projects, the hamburger arrow, you'll see I like to color my layers as well. But this one only has one, so I'm not going to mess around with colors. So now we're going to open up the LottieFiles plugin. I got my spinner. I'm going to export this one. I'm actually just going to save to PC this time. I'll do the Lottie folder spinner. And now I'm going to go back and do the multi-comps. Save to PC. Spinner multi-comps. And then lastly, I'm going to do the spinner multi-layers. Okay, so why in the heck did I just export 3 things that all look the same? What I wanted to show you all is, it's on the desktop. Depending on how you decide to structure your file, it can have a really big impact on the size of the file. So if you look at this, multi-comps is 6K, multi-layers 5K, 1 layer 3K. So what's happening here? Let me actually open these up in this Visual Code Studio. I am not an engineer, so you can see I kind of don't know what I'm doing when I use programs like this, but it's kind of fun to look at it because it's got all these cool colors. I'm going to open this one up with the same thing and open this one up with the same thing. And each time, make sure I turn on this word wrap so y'all can see the multi-comps. Can see how long this one is. The multi-layers gets even shorter, and the one layer is just one. What's happening here is in the multi-comps, each comp has its own composition properties and the layers. And each time you're taking the whole comp and the layers and you're exporting the data for all that stuff. And as you can see, the multi-layers is smaller, but again, you have 3 layers. Each layer has properties. The one layer is going to be the most efficient, the smallest file size. And you can imagine if you're working with this huge illustration and you're doing a bunch of different animations on specific layers, turning them into comps and bringing them in, if there are any ways for you to reduce animations down to a single layer, it's going to make your file size much, much smaller. And that's one of the differences between making animations for Lottie and making regular animations for television is when you make them for television, it doesn't matter what your file size is. If it looks right, it works right, it's right. But for Lottie, you really have to be conscious of making something that the file size is as small as possible because it really makes a big difference. So just for fun, we might as well shoot one of these over to LottieFiles. Just drag it in. That works. That works. And that works. Okay. In the first animation, we only animated the scale. In this last animation, we animated about 4 different properties.